You're no longer welcome here. Those 5 words changed everything. It wasn't said in anger. It wasn't shouted or screamed. My mother said it like she was reciting a grocery list, calm, cold, final. If you're going through something like this right now, comment the number 1 so I know I'm not alone. Like this video if you've ever felt invisible inside your own home. Subscribe if you believe that even forgotten stories deserve to be heard. My name is Kiera. I was 17 the day my parents disowned me. I didn't get pregnant. I didn't get arrested. I didn't run away with some dangerous boy. All I did was speak the truth. I told them I didn't want to be a lawyer like my dad. I didn't want to go to Yale like they planned since I was 12. I wanted to be a photographer, to tell real stories, through light and shadow, to find beauty in the broken. They looked at me like I had just confessed to murder. You think the world cares about your little passion project? My father said, his jaw clenched tight. My mom didn't say a word at first. She just stood there, arms crossed, staring at me like I'd become someone disgusting. Then, finally, she said it. You're embarrassing us. That's what I was to them. Not a daughter, not a dreamer, an embarrassment. What hurt more than the words was the years behind them. All the birthdays where they were too busy to show up. All the report cards I left on the table that were never acknowledged. All the times I'd sit in my room, headphones in, pretending I wasn't waiting for someone to notice I existed. I didn't grow up in a poor or violent home. I grew up in a perfect homian paper. Dad in a tailored suit, Mum in her Pilates gear, Sunday brunch, Christmas cards with fake smiles. But love? Real love? It came with fine print. Do what they say, follow their plan, never question, never feel. So, when I told them I had been accepted into a summer arts program in New York with a scholarship, I thought, maybe, just maybe, they'd see me. Instead, they tore me apart. You can go, my father said finally. But don't come crawling back when reality hits. You're on your own now. I stood there, heart pounding, trying to keep the tears from falling. Not because I was afraid, but because I knew, deep down, he meant it. I packed that night a single suitcase, my camera, a notebook with my favorite quote scribbled across the first page. Sometimes, the family you're born into isn't your real home. I thought that would be the worst of it. But as I reached for the doorknob, Mother walked over, pressed something into my hand. It was a check for $50. This should be enough for the bus, she said. That was the last thing she ever gave me. But you want to know the craziest part? The real betrayal didn't happen that night. It came 2 weeks later, when I found out what they did behind my back, something that would nearly destroy the only hope I had left. And that is where everything changed. Because trust me, you won't believe what they did. It's funny how betrayal doesn't always come with a bang. Sometimes it arrives in an envelope. 2 weeks after my parents disowned me, I was living in a shared apartment in Queens with 3 strangers, scraping by with part-time shifts at a local cafe. I was holding on to one thingy scholarship to the summer arts program in New York. It wasn't glamorous, but it was mine. My shot, my escape. Until the letter came. It was from the program. A thin envelope, neither a good sign. My hands trembled as I opened it. The words blurred as I read them. We regret to inform you that due to concerns raised by your legal guardians regarding your mental stability and financial reliability, your admission and scholarship have been revoked. I stopped breathing. Mental instability? Financial unreliability? I didn't understand. Who could have? No. There was only one answer. I dialed home. It went straight to voicemail. Then I remembered me best friend Maya. She was still talking to my mum. I called her, desperate, shaking. What happened? I asked. Did my parents say something to the program? Silence. Then a sigh. Kiera, your mum said you were having a breakdown, that you were unwell. She told them you left home without meds, and that you'd faked parts of your application. I didn't know she told the school. I dropped the phone. She lied. She invented a story to destroy the one thing keeping me afloat. My own mother. I thought disowning me was the end. But this was another level. This was erasing me. I sat on the floor of that cramped apartment, knees pulled to my chest, and for the first time I let myself fall apart. I didn't eat for 2 days. I stared at the ceiling, wondering how you survive being unloved by the people who created you. There's a special kind of grief when your family treats you like a burden even when you're gone. The worst part, they were still pretending to be the perfect family, smiling in church, posting vacation pictures online. While I was drinking tap water for dinner and falling asleep to the sound of rats in the walls, I emailed the arts program. I begged them to reconsider. I sent letters, proof, explanations. No response. They believed her. Just like that. And the more I tried to defend myself, the more I started to question. What if they were right? What if I was nothing without them? One night, I walked for miles. No destination. Just the ache to feel something other than shame. That's when I found it. A small art studio tucked between a bodega and a broken-down pawn shop. The window said, "Open mic, open lens, speak, share, shoot." Inside, people sat in folding chairs, sharing poetry, playing music, showing photographs pinned to the walls. It wasn't prestigious. It was raw, real. And in that moment, I knew if I didn't find something to hold on to, I'd lose myself completely. So I stepped inside. I didn't speak that night. I just listened. But something in me shifted. If my family was willing to erase me, then maybe it was time I started rewriting my own story. Because the road ahead was harder than I ever imagined, but it was mine. There's a kind of silence that feels louder than a scream. For weeks, I moved through the world like a shadow. The days blurred into each other, coffee shifts, shared showers, sleepless nights. The ache in my chest became so constant I stopped noticing it. I was 19 and already tired of surviving. There were nights I thought about quitting everything. I don't mean life, I mean trying. Trying to believe I mattered. Trying to believe that dreams were still worth chasing, when the people who raised me made it their mission to tear mine apart. But then I remembered that night the dim light, the voices in that small studio tucked between broken buildings. Speak, share, shoot. Something about that place lingered. So one Thursday night, I went back. I didn't expect anyone to notice me. I hadn't spoken to a soul in weeks. But a woman with silver dreadlocks and a camera around her neck tapped the empty chair next to her and said, "You look like someone with stories inside." Her name was Camille, former war photographer, survivor of 2 divorces and 1 revolution, as she put it. She ran the studio and taught a free photo workshop every weekend. "You don't need fancy gear," she told us. "You need eyes that don't flinch." I started showing up every Saturday. At first, I didn't speak. I just listened, took notes, studied light. But the more I learned, the more I remembered why I fell in love with the lens in the first place. Because it lets you say what you can't with words. Camille saw something in me. She started letting me help with setup, then with editing. One day, she handed me her own Canon and said, "Go find something ugly and show me it's beautiful." That was the first photo I ever sold. A portrait of a homeless veteran holding a sunflower in a cracked coffee cup. A small gallery picked it up, paid me $50. $50, just like the check my mother gave me to leave. But this time, it came with dignity. I began documenting the unseen. Immigrant vendors, lonely elders, abandoned buildings that once housed stories. Camille submitted one of my pieces without telling Meto a citywide competition. I was angry at first, terrified, but then I won. Second place, a feature in an online magazine, an invitation to speak at a local youth centre. I stood at that podium, palms sweating, voice trembling. I don't have a big family, I said, but I found something better perspective, and people who see me as more than a disappointment. The applause felt surreal, not because I needed validation, but because I had finally earned it myself. And that's when I saw her. In the back of the crowd, my mother. She didn't clap, didn't cry. She just watched me, like she couldn't believe I still existed outside her version of me. And for the first time, I didn't flinch. I turned back to the mic and said, "To anyone who's ever been told they're not enough, prove them wrong. But more importantly, prove yourself right." Because that night, I knew I was no longer surviving. I was starting to live. Because some apologies come with strings, and I was done being tangled. My name was printed on the wall now. Kira Rai, Stories in Stillness. My first solo exhibition. Photos I'd taken over 3 years, scattered across the walls of a downtown gallery in Brooklyn. Immigrant mothers brushing their daughters' hair. A war veteran planting sunflowers in an alley. A boy sleeping on a library bench with a math book as a pillow. Each photo told a story of being overlooked and of being seen. The place was full. People I respected. Editors. Artists. Even a city councilwoman who said my work gave dignity back to the forgotten. And then I saw her. In the far corner, stiff in a beige coat too pristine for the room's energy, my mother stood. Alone, uninvited, unwelcome. Our eyes met. She gave the smallest nod, as if that could erase years of silence, as if her presence here, now, meant anything. I turned back toward the room, letting my assistant guide guests, pretending my heart wasn't pounding. But it was. Not from fear, from clarity. I no longer needed her approval. After the exhibition, she waited outside. "Congratulations," she said. Her voice was soft, measured, like always. "You've done well." I stared at her. "Is that why you came? To say that?" She hesitated. "To say I'm sorry. I thought I was protecting you. I didn't want you to fail." "You did want me to fail," I cut in. My voice didn't shake this time. "You needed me to fail, because if I made it without you, it would prove that you were wrong." Her eyes glistened, but I'd learned tears can lie. "I just wanted what was best for you." "No, Mom. You wanted what was easiest for you." She looked like someone who had prepared a speech and just realized she'd forgotten her lines. Her shoulders tensed. "I didn't know it would hurt you like that. You called me unstable. You told them I lied. You destroyed my chance because you didn't understand it." I stepped closer. "But here's the thing, you don't get to rewrite what happened. You don't get to stand in front of my work and pretend you helped build it." Her lips parted, but no sound came out. I kept going. "You disowned me. You gave me $50 and told me to disappear." "So I did. And I turned your rejection into art. Your silence into stories. Your shame into a spotlight." She took a step back. That's when I said the one thing I knew would shatter her pride. My next exhibition, it's titled Motherless. She didn't cry. She didn't argue. She just stood there finally, truly speechless. But just when I thought the past had been buried, the twist came. 2 weeks later, I received a letter. Not from her. From my father, a man I hadn't heard from since that night. And inside, a sentence that changed everything. "I need to tell you the truth about what really happened. Because sometimes, the greatest betrayal doesn't come from who you think. The letter from my father was handwritten ink, slightly smudged, corners folded. I hadn't seen his handwriting in years, but I recognized it instantly. Kiera, if you're reading this, I hope you've found peace. I don't know if I deserve a place in your life, but I need to tell you what I couldn't back then. My hands shook. The truth is, it wasn't just your mother. I was the one who contacted the arts program. I was the one who made that call. I froze. She didn't know. She wanted to talk to you. I told her not to. I told her to let it go. I was ashamed not of you, but of myself. Because the truth is, you reminded me of who I used to be, before I gave up on my own dreams. I didn't cry, not this time, because somehow I already knew. A week later, I agreed to meet him. We sat across from each other at a park bench. No lawyers, no therapists, just two people, too far apart to be family, but too bound by blood to ignore. I don't expect forgiveness, he said quietly. Good, I replied, because I'm not here to give it. He nodded, as if he'd rehearsed that answer. But I am here, I continued, to end this story on my terms, not yours. I didn't hug him. I didn't ask why he chose cowardice over love. What I did say was this: you may have tried to erase me, but I became the proof that your erasure didn't work. I built something out of the ruins, and I'm proud of that. Then I stood. I walked away, not with anger, with peace. Some people wait their whole lives to hear, "I'm sorry," and maybe they deserve it. But sometimes the most powerful closure isn't an apology. It's choosing not to need one anymore. It's been 3 years since that day. Today, I run a non-profit for young artists from broken homes. We teach them what the world forgot, that being unwanted doesn't make you unworthy. And every time a kid picks up a camera and sees themselves clearly in a lens for the first time, I know I was never broken. I was just becoming. What would you do if you were me? Would you forgive? Or would you walk away for good? Tell me in the comments. I want to hear your story. Like this video if you've ever felt like you had to fight for your place in the world. Share this with someone who needs to hear. You can rise from anything. Subscribe if you believe that healing is messy but powerful. Thank you for walking this journey with me. You weren't just a viewer. You were the witness to my rebirth. This isn't the end. It's just the beginning of something stronger. Kiera Ray.